Hello and welcome to another random review and how-to. This is kind of a repeat how-to, but with a different method. So, got some ribs here. These are Sam's Club ribs. If you have a Sam's Club by you, they got really nice ribs. Nice and thick, got a good amount of fat on it. They're huge. I think 25 bucks for these 3 racks altogether. So, got my ribs. I already seasoned them. Pepper, salt, and then we're using this Weber dry rub. Found this at Walmart. I think it's $6-7 bucks. Then I also got this Western cherry wood. That's what we're gonna be using for smoke. I like to get these little tins for my smoke. Put some tin foil on top with some holes, and then inside of my smoke vault. So here's the difference. I'm using my smoke vault today. Last time you saw me do this, I was using my middle grill there. That's the Oklahoma Joe smoker with the side box. So a little different method. This is propane. And if you have electric, I mean, it's gonna be a lot similar to this. What I like about this one is I've used it 1,000 times. So the inside of it is just used up and it's got nice flavor. Any smoke that's created inside of this thing flavors everything. So if you look down here, set up, I got my flame going. I'm gonna wanna keep this cooking between about 275 to 300 for the first 3 hours. So 3-2-1 method. 3 hours, I'm gonna put these in uncovered. I'm gonna take them out, wrap them up, put them back in for 2 hours. And then the last hour, I'm gonna unwrap them again, put more smoke on them. And then after that, I like to wrap them and put them in a cooler that fits them. So it's actually the 3-2-1 method with the extra 1 hour being in the cooler. So very important, make sure you have a water pan. If you don't have a water pan, put something in there that can sustain the heat for a long time that's full of water. It's gonna get very dry in here while these cook. So having that water pan really does help keep all the meat you do. If you're doing a pork shoulder or a brisket, it really helps keep it moist. So my smoke pan's gonna go down here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. What happens with this little pan is it just starts to smolder because that pan underneath there is extremely hot, and that'll smolder and it'll start to create the smoke. And I like to smoke them, you know, for the first hour they take the smoke on, which is perfect. And then after that, I like to just let them sit because meat can only accept so much smoke. So if you try to smoke them the entire time, there's going to be a point where they're not getting the smoke that you think they are. So usually smoking for that first hour gets the flavor going. And then after that, I always like to add it in the last hour of my smoke, is putting the rest on. So like I said, these are big ribs. Could have probably cut them in half, but you know what, I'm just gonna curve them in there. That works for me, if that works for you. So I'm not gonna move these at all. Always make sure you put that bone down. You want that bone sitting underneath there like that. I just think that that's a good way. You don't want that bone on top. The bones get nice and hot, and that's what really helps this meat cook from the inside. So we're gonna close this thing up. It's gonna start to smoke here in a little bit, which I'll show you. Close this up for 3 hours. Here we are at the 2 hour mark. You can see my temp. I kept it maybe between that 250, 300 area. Go ahead and open that. A lot of heat. And you can see that they actually shrunk up a little bit. So that's why if they are a little longer, they are gonna shrink. But at this point, they're still gonna be nice and tough. So you can pick them up. They're not gonna pull apart yet. So what I like to do is get them in a pan. And then I'm gonna actually wrap them in tin foil, so I'm gonna show that part. Now that I've got these out, let's see all the racks. So they got a nice char to them. This is the bone side down. What I'm gonna do is actually cut these in half. And then I got all my pieces of tinfoil here ready. I'm using Sweet Baby Ray's Honey Barbecue. I'm gonna cut these, I'm gonna put them in the tinfoil, and then I'm gonna put barbecue sauce on top of them, and then I'm gonna wrap them up and close them off, and then just stick these back in right on the shelf. So what's gonna happen is it'll be a 2 hour cook, and what's gonna happen is there's gonna be a lot of juice to come out of these, and it's gonna sit with the Sweet Babies, and it's gonna kind of marinate itself in there for 2 hours, get them nice and hot. You can also already see that the bone is starting to pull away from the meat, and that's ideal. That's what you want to have happen. So when you go to cut these at the end, this bone, everything's just gonna fall off the bone and peel away. So we're gonna do this process, and then we're gonna go from there. Here they are placed back in there. Just got them on the shelf. You can see I can fit just about the same amount on each shelf. I'm gonna fill my water pan up again, keep the temperature right where it's at. Just let them go 2 hours now. Now we are coming out of the 2 hour mark. Let's see how I've unwrapped these. Nice and sticky in there. This is getting a nice char. You can see they're starting to peel apart. They're a lot more pliable now. Very loose. You can see I just pulled the bone right out of there. So they're starting to get to where they do. So this last hour we put them in there, what it's going to do is just re-crisp them up, and that's exactly what we want. Here's the point they're at going back in. So I just laid them bone down again on that rack. I got them on 2 of them. You try to rotate those too. If you know which ones you put on the bottom, make sure you put them on top and rotate them down so the bottom ones don't cook over what they should. So the last thing I'm gonna do is just put barbecue sauce on top of here and let that kind of melt and crisp up on there. And then once we're done here, we're gonna rewrap them and we're gonna throw them in the cooler for an hour, and then you just take them out. You could actually leave them in there as long as you want until you're ready to serve them. They're gonna be piping hot. They're gonna continue to cook. They're just gonna completely fall off the bone. So that's the 3-2-1 method on these ribs. Again, I'm using the Smoke Vault here, the smoker. I have the 18-inch. They make a 22, so if you have the 22, it's much bigger. I think they actually go up to 24, so you can almost fit a whole tin in those ones, and I think that one might come with a glass door as well. So good smoker, good way to cook ribs, super easy. You don't have to do a ton of work. And as you can see, they come out and they fall off the bone. So as I want to thank you, as always, for watching this. If you like what you see, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the 1,000+ other people that have. We'll see you next time.